Patience with the American media. Deontay Wilder came out yesterday. There are excuses in life, and there are reasons. And Deontay Wilder's a great boxer. I was at the fight. Joy and I were at the fight. And he said, listen, man, it wasn't my night. I had to walk into that ring wearing 40 pounds of apparatus. And, and people laughed at it. And people said, well, that was, come on, that's an excuse. First of all, one of the things I witnessed at this fight, it was so hot in the arena. You can't prepare for that. Then Tyson Fury took 10 minutes to come out. And Wilder, who wrapped his gloves, actually pretty early, about an hour and a half before the fight, had to wear this goofy costume. I'm not a big fan of this stuff. If I could criticize networks, they drive me nuts on this, even my own. Can we stop making pregame shows an extra quarter or an extra 3 rounds? Let's get to the sports. Tom Brady has never, in 9 Super Bowls, thrown a touchdown pass once in the first quarter. He's 0 for 9. He's got 1 field goal in 9 first quarters. Why? Because he gets out of rhythm. This fight put both these guys out of rhythm, and it affected one fighter. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. Now, he didn't have to choose to wear that apparatus, but I don't doubt for a second that Fury taking 10 minutes to come out threw Deontay Wilder off his rhythm. He was just not ready to fight. If you don't think rhythm matters, watch NBA players shoot free throws. Watch guys on the tour serve the tennis ball, men or women. Watch guys on the PGA Tour before their putts. Peyton Manning, I was told this by a Peyton Manning teammate. He goes, part of Peyton Manning's struggles for the first decade in his career in the playoffs was he was very rigid in his preparation. Peyton's a routine guy. Eli was not as much a routine guy. So Eli was better in the playoffs than in big games. You could throw him off his routine. But Peyton was very rigid in terms of his routine. Well, you go to a playoff game. The playoff game's on Saturday. You're off your routine. The commercial breaks are longer. The halftimes are longer. And Peyton Manning, until the very end of his career, really struggled getting out of his routine. We've heard about this from Kirk Cousins. Joy and I do this show every morning. Routine is a huge part of our show. If I get thrown off it, my first segment's never quite as good or as efficient or as smooth. Greg Olsen was on our show at the Super Bowl, and he talked about Carolina going to that Super Bowl, and he said these big events feel different. You get out of your rhythm.
The energy in that stadium is zero. There's not a lot of true passionate fans. I mean, the NFC Championship, we're blowing out the second best team in the league, the Cardinals. Your fans are going crazy. People don't sit down. The Super Bowl crowd is just different. There was no energy. TV timeouts take 10 minutes. We just never found our groove. And we were the best offense in the league. There was something about that game, the rhythm of that game, we just really struggled harnessing. And, it cost us an unbelievable shot of winning a Super Bowl.
Routine equals comfortable. Comfortable equals more success. Watch major league batters. I mean, I can almost see in my head Derek Jeter's rhythm in between pitches. They get into a rhythm, and Deontay Wilder's rhythm was thrown off. I thought he controlled much of the first fight. I thought he was dominated from the very beginning. Once Tyson Fury went 12 minutes coming into the ring, it completely threw him off. He lost the arena's hot, the gear's heavy, they take the apparatus off, Fury comes after him. He was never right. These Super Bowls, you ever notice? The offenses in the first quarter are dead. Well, you make the players stand around for 15, 20 extra minutes in their gear in Miami. So I think the next fight will be very competitive, and it may have a different result. Please, Deontay, get that nonsense off. Do the Tyson. Shorts, cut up hoodie, walk in, take it off, and fight. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
That entrance did take a long time.
Oh, my God. It took.
I loved it, but I was like, are they going to start the song over?
They did Patsy Cline's song. They had to play it twice.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe put some wheels on the thing. You're just going to give it a little faster push. I don't know. So Joe Burrow's danced around questions about whether he would play for the Bengals if they drafted him first overall throughout all the interviews he's been doing. But at the Combine, he finally made a little bit more of a definitive statement about his future.
Yeah, of course I want to be the first pick. That's every kid's dream.
I've worked really, really hard for this opportunity, and I'm blessed to be in this position. I'm not going to not play. I'm a ball player. Whoever picks me, I'm going to go show up. I'm just not going to be presumptuous about, what they want to do. It's the draft. You guys have been covering it for a long time. You never know what's going to happen.
I thought this was kind of interesting because he's getting criticized somewhat for not being committal to wanting to play for the Bengals. Obviously, the Bengals have the #1 overall pick in the draft. But have the Bengals come out and said unequivocally we're picking Joe Burrow?
Oh, they'll have to. That franchise.
But I mean, up until this point, they haven't.
No.
So is he really wrong for saying he doesn't want to be presumptuous about what they want to do?
I'm sure. I haven't checked Twitter today. I'm sure, Bengal fans are like, we told you so. No, we told you so. We said we didn't think Burrow and his family would make the tough call to move off Cincinnati. We thought this would happen because it's his girlfriend's from Ohio. He's from Ohio. His dad is a respected coach who knows Zach Taylor. Elway and Eli had a historic father in Archie. Elway had a big football family, and Elway was a much better prospect than Burrow. I mean, Elway was like, oh my God. I mean, people thought Elway was going to redefine the position. So I'm not surprised by Burrow saying, I'm going to go to where I'm going to go. So, but I do think he is now going to the least talented team in his division and an organization that is cheap. And cheap equals lesser scouts, lesser executives, second-tier coordinators. And I don't think Joe Burrow has the talent, like Baker, to overcome franchise dysfunction.
Well, they are the worst team in the league.
Yes.
That's why they have the #1 overall pick in the draft. It's not an edgy, hot take. They're the worst. They were the worst last year. That's why you get the #1 overall pick in the draft. That's how that works. So, yeah, I do think it's going to be a lot for him. I think he's going to have a harder path and more of an uphill battle going to Cincinnati than he would, say, even Miami. Because, I mean, you could say what you want about how dysfunctional Miami is. They don't have the #1 overall pick in the draft.
A prime example is Deshaun Watson. Look how gifted he is.
Right.
He's getting them to the playoffs, but Deshaun hits a ceiling. He cannot overcome Houston's dysfunction, and that's how gifted he is. So he'll
And I
give
don't
you
even know if Houston is necessarily dysfunctional. They just don't have everything right.
That's right.
And
That's fair.
Everything has to be right. Even
Yes.
Kansas City has just everything right except for just one piece, and then you can't get to the Super Bowl. It's
Listen,
very hard to get to the Super Bowl. And it's even harder to win it.
Kansas City would not have won a Super Bowl if they didn't get their defense right in the second half of the season. They just wouldn't have won. They couldn't have stopped teams. So they had all the pieces, but they had to get Chris Jones back. They had to get healthy. And by the way, it all kind of synthesized in about week 11, week 12. Now you're like, all right, Vegas was like, that's the best team in the league.
It's so important where you go as a quarterback.
Oh, God,
we
it's
know
huge.
that. It's huge. I do think it's going to be much harder for Burrow. The question about whether Burrow should be the #1 overall pick in the draft or is the best prospect in the draft, to me, I don't understand. I mean, he played the same position that many have before him, and other teams have had great receivers and great defenses and great offensive lines and still did not have the best statistical season in the history of college football. To me, I don't understand poking holes in the game, but either way, he's going to... You poke him all the time. I'm on the
Small
opposite side of
hands.
you. He is...
Baby hands Burrow.
He is a much better prospect
I feel
to
like
me than
Donald
Tua.
Trump. I'm giving people nicknames.
You
Baby
are.
hands Burrow.
I thought he was the one with tiny hands. Did I miss that? All right, so there's been plenty of speculation about Derek Carr's future with the Raiders pretty much all the time, and GM Mike Mayock didn't do much to calm those rumors down at the Combine.
Derek Carr played at a high level. I'm very happy with Derek Carr. Every position gets evaluated every year, and if we can upgrade it, we will.
No, every position does not get evaluated every single year.
Okay, can I drop a source on this? I've heard Mayock's not a huge fan of Carr. That's what I've heard. And the source I got it from is inside that organization, somebody I trust. Mayock is not... In fact, I've been told Gruden likes him more than Mayock. And
It would
Gruden doesn't
appear
like
so.
And Gruden doesn't like any of his quarterbacks.
That is not a vote of confidence. That's not true. Every position does not get reevaluated at the end of the year.
And let me tell you something right now. Ask yourself this. If Derek Carr is on the market, Tui, the show's named after you now. If Derek Carr is on the market, are there suitors?
Yes.
So, okay. So, I'm telling you, I think there's, my opinion, he's played with bad O-lines, different coaches, major dysfunction.
In the playoffs, he got injured. In a huge moment. Sorry, Dewey, by the way, he was asking you, not me, but...
Greg Tui Show. I'll tell you this. I think Dak's a little valued, I think Derek Carr's undervalued.
I would
here.
agree with you that Derek Carr is undervalued, and we talk about this all the time. If you think he's going to be your franchise guy next year, I don't see the value in discrediting him or devaluing him in that spot. Because if you don't get Tom Brady, you don't draft a guy, how then do you sell Derek Carr to your fans? You're moving to Las Vegas. Like, they're at that position, if you aren't 100% sure that you're replacing him, why even bother saying it? Because you have to make sure you say that guy is the guy. He's got to be the guy, even if you don't think he's the guy. And then if you replace him, make that move. But you can't devalue him in that spot. And it's just, I feel bad for Derek Carr. It's all the time. Finally, there's been a lot of different reports coming out about what the Panthers are going to do with Cam Newton. Some say the Panthers are open for business in the trade market and then could be looking to rebuild under new head coach Matt Rule. But Ian Rappaport is also reporting that as of now, the team is moving forward with Cam Newton as their starter, despite all the trade rumors. He said Cam is healing well, but isn't expected to be game ready for a few months, which complicates any potential trade timeline. Several months. He's not going to be game ready for several
So a
months.
few means 4. So not going to be ready to practice.
Several months
March,
is what
April, May,
is in
June.
front of me. So he said Matt Rule and his staff have been encouraged with how Cam Newton has treated his rehab and how intent he is to get back into top form.
All right. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for